Well, they have done it, Australia, firmly and properly against their trans-Tasman rivals New Zealand up in the hills of Dharamshala. It was not just the altitude of the ground, it was also the altitude of the ball, because there was plenty of sixes, some that landed in McLeodganj and some that are still rolling towards Amritsar. Australia has wrapped up at 388, all out with 4 balls to spare. So basically, there's just been a lot of action. There's been runs, there's been wickets, there's been a team that hasn't played their 50 overs. Yeah, 4 balls, but on technicality, I'm correct now. They didn't play their 50 overs. I'm Gaurav Kapur. This is Cricbuzz Live. With me, Dinesh Karthik and Joy Bhattacharya. DK, this batting performance, 5 stars. 6 perhaps.
Fantabulous is the word I'd like to use. But on a serious note, I thought they were very, very good right from the start. Head and Warner, you can see why they were waiting for Head. It made sense. He is that kind of player. They waited. The purpose is solved. He comes, he sets the World Cup on fire. First innings, what shots he played. And then I quite enjoyed Maxwell's knock. When wickets were falling, still he just kept up his tempo and just kept going, which was great to see. Inglis at the end and Cummins as well. So a lovely batting effort. New Zealand, on the other hand, bowled well through the middle. When they got that wicket, they crushed and made things very hard. But at the back and front of it, they did go for plenty.
After the start, and in the first 15 overs, it was 151 for no loss. That's how good Travis Head and David Warner were. It was 118 in the power play. You've gone at 12 and over in the power play, Joy. It's insanity.
Absolutely. And perhaps you don't know that the Himachal Pradesh Tourism Authority had actually sponsored the Australian team. Because, no, seriously, those sixes were mountain view shots. How do you see the mountains if the ball doesn't play? Whack! Oh, lovely mountains.
You sit on a ball and Travis Head will hit it and give you a little drone view.
Outstanding. And exactly what, Dick had been saying before this inning started, that Travis Head is a person who's not afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
And once he took risks and he got a golden opportunity, those 2 no balls, very unlikely from Matt Henry, but set him up, 2 sixes, he's seeing the ball well. He didn't stop after that.
Yeah.
And what was interesting though was that Warner started attacking at the same time.
Yeah.
And between the 2 of them, it was absolute mayhem.
Let's just recap it for you that New Zealand won the toss and put Australia into bat. And the reason they did that is because they were hoping that the conditions, that right up in the beginning, maybe up in the hills, it's the morning, the ball might move, the ball might do something. So I don't think that you can criticize Tom Latham. So in retrospect, you can. Yeah, when you're watching the ball sail, you're standing behind the stumps and going, geez, have I made a mistake? We should have batted first on this surface. But all things considered, that was the right decision to take, wasn't it?
It was. I think if Australia had won the toss, they would have bowled first as well.
Yeah.
So you can understand the decision was right, but what was wrong was how badly they judged what a Warner and a Head could do. And the first 10 overs, 118 for no loss, in many ways you're put on the back foot. That is just not batting of the 4th or 5th gear. That is about the 8th, 9th gear. Probably they're a rocket launcher type thing.
Yeah.
And as I said, sometimes when Head gets going, you're scratching your head as a captain. Where do you keep the fielder? You have to keep him on the mountain only next to catch a ball. In the field, in the ground, is very hard too. So quite the effort. But the one thing that is very obvious is Mitchell Marsh through the middle. I thought he soaked up a few balls too many to put pressure on the likes of Smith, Marnus, Labuschagne, off spinner. Glenn Phillips was brilliant, but through the middle he played 1 too many dot balls, and that's an area that they would like to improve. We've seen Iftikhar Ahmed trouble him as well against the Pakistan game, and it's happened again.
Just not to, in a way, a little defense perhaps for Mitchell Marsh. You also had Marnus Labuschagne batting on the opposite side, who seemed very out of sorts, also seemed to be in a hurry to go back. I think he tried like 6 or 7 times, Joy, to get out. There was an obstruction of field, there was a couple of catches he gave. He was really trying his best.
Absolutely. And he looked out of it. More you see that, the more you wonder. And look, finally Maxwell did hit it for them, as did Inglis and Cummins. But the more you wonder that, is he playing there instead of a Stoinis or a Cam Green? You're asking yourself again, does he deserve this spot at this point in time?
Yeah.
And this is a problem that they will have. It's a problem of plenty, I understand it. Look, the problem with matches like this is it papers over things like that. Because at the end of the day, you're not looking at the strike rate of 70 that Mitch Marsh has got because they reached 388.
Yeah.
Okay. And odds on 9 times out of 10, they should win a match scoring 388.
Yeah.
But the point of it is, this is a problem for them. that spinners did tie them back. And after a start like that, they were put set back on their back foot. Okay, Glenn Phillips, started bowling Glenn Phillips. Why? Because they were both left-handers out there.
Yeah.
So you couldn't bowl the others. But after that, once the openers started getting out, Marsh just got himself, Marsh and Labuschagne just got bogged down a little bit.
Yeah, you got to say, because in the first 15 overs, they were 150, as I said, going at 10 and over. The next 20 over spell between 15 and 35, they've gone at less than a run a ball, right? So the spinners have managed to, Glenn Phillips has managed to hold them back. There you see, I think this stat doesn't reveal it as much. Perhaps it does with the 11 to 30, where you're saying they're going less than a run a ball. But out of this, it's actually 15 to 35. That's when the choke was happening. Okay, let's go to the beginning and start with the Warner-Head partnership, because that partnership eventually accounted for 175 runs in 117 balls. 90 of 52 is Travis Head. 81 of 65 is David Warner. On normal days, Warner would come back saying, geez, I went at a good clip. And then you look at your partner and you go, my God, he made me look slow. It's like, how you have to be a rocket to make a bullet train look slow, right? And that's what they did. DK, as Joy said, they complemented each other fantastically today. It didn't look like they haven't played together for the last 2 months.
It was like Warner was waiting for Head to come. It was literally that. Now that he is also on song, he took on the bowlers. He played his favourite shot, which is sit down and sweep over short fine leg. He hit that off bolt. Great innings. And Head, on the other hand, very, very dismissive, authoritative, and quite a put-off as an opponent captain. But what was brilliant was Warner played to his strengths. If you looked at the wagon wheel, 42% of his runs came square of the wicket in the first 50 that he got. Tells you that it is very obvious. And you take Head and it goes straight up.
Yeah.
So, again, a great pair for Australia. And we discussed this previous game, GK, actually. Australia are just putting and adding and making sure other teams are looking at them going, wow, this is an Australia we need to be wary about. Because they have a good bowling attack. And if their batters are in form and doing this, it can be a riveting team to play against.
And the New Zealand bowlers they didn't do themselves any favours, because you've got to be disciplined, right? No balls wide. You can't give free gifts to people like Travis Head and David Warner. It's not their birthday. Warner's birthday was yesterday, but it's not his birthday today. So you can't do that. Look at the rate that they've scored at. Out of all the 150 plus opening stands in ODIs, this is the history of ODIs. This is the highest run rate, right? And who have they gone over is the destructive white ball England team of 2019. They were setting the template of how to bat at that point in time. And then you've got to go back 10, 15 years to Brendan McCullum and Jesse Ryder. So look what they've done today is really, really big.
No, this has been a stunning performance. And I think the thing about it is that the New Zealand bowlers, if you look at the New Zealand bowlers, Henry is normally their steadier bowler. He's normally 2 no balls in a single over, wide
back to back,
no balls.
yeah.
And then after that, once they got hit off their lengths, then they had nowhere to go. And then Lockie comes in and then he comes in and immediately gets greeted by 15 odd and over. So he's also hit out of the attack. It's finally only the off spinner, Glenn Phillips, who's in the 14th over, was the first over without a boundary being scored.
Yeah.
That's a crazy stat for you. 26s, 32 fours.
Yeah.
That's this boundary. 26s. Unbelievable. Three overs and two balls of sixes alone.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Let's count them for you. There was 6 for David Warner and 7 for Travis Head. So the two of them have accounted for 13 of those 6s. And, the unlikely number 3 in that is Pat Cummins. He hit 4 6s as well. So captain coming and saying that, one sec, let me translate another Hindi muhavra, is that in flowing Ganges, I will also wash hands.
अच्छा बहती गंगा मैं भी हाथ धोऊंगा.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's what he said. See, I'm helping DK.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Baheti
This is-
Ganga mein, main bhi haath dunga.
Yeah, that's right. In flowing Ganges, I will also wash hands. Right?
Brilliant.
And attain purity and nirvana, which is what he did today. 4 6s. He batted really well. Maxwell did whatever. So basically, the little hump or the lag that they have after the hump at the beginning, that lag got covered up nicely, because there was a time around the 40th over, maybe the 30th over, where you were thinking that they could keep Australia down to 350.
Yeah, 320 in fact, because they lost a couple of wickets and your Josh Inglis had come, he wasn't finding rhythm. So, but, what an effort by Maxwell. And that's why I say his innings was really special. At that stage, when wickets fall around you, at times as a middle order batsman, you can just go into a bit of a shell and say, let me take it a few overs and then hit. But Maxwell, being Maxwell, he doesn't look at the situation like that. He is like, I am batting well. I'm going to back the shots that I play. And when he gets out, the same, like we would be sitting here saying, is that the shot to play considering got 100 the previous game? What are you thinking, Maxwell? But that is the beauty of understanding, I guess, how the modern day operates in terms of if you're playing certain shots, just back yourself to do it and give it 100%. Don't be second guessing yourself. And that I thought Maxwell did really well. One of the reasons they got to 388 is purely because of what Maxwell did in the back end of that innings. Yes, Cummins and Inglis finished it well, no doubt. But that innings was critical to get that momentum back. New Zealand took it from them, but he just found a way to get it back for Australia.
Let's just see, there was a partnership right at the end as well, right? Well, not at the end. Well, it was
Cummins
actually, there you go. Cummins and Joss English, which was 62 of 22 balls. This is right after Glenn Maxwell got out. Glenn Maxwell got out and you're thinking, I don't know where they're going to go. And then suddenly, in under 4 overs, these two have hit 62 runs.
That's the difference. The 62 is easier when you have to just play 7-8 overs. If you had to bat at the 38th over, 37th over, Cummins can't do what he did today.
So he accelerated it at the right spot.
Correct.
After that, they just took forward the momentum that he had given. But had he batted carefully, this could have been 340, 330, 340.
Yeah, but
So he was the cog.
It has gone like stratosphere, right? Because that kind of a score, almost 400 kind of score, New Zealand is looking at that and saying, we're good batters, but geez, Australia's got some good bowlers and this is a really big score. To go at over 7.5 and over through that entire innings can be tough. Let's talk about the New Zealand bowling though, and it was not a good day for anyone except one
What
person.
are the odds?
Whose figures here almost look like fiction. They look like he was playing on another ground against another team on another day, and you've just inserted that line over here in that Excel sheet. That's Glenn Phillips, because all the champion bowlers that Tom Latham would turn to have all got beaten. Let's look at that, right? You've got Matt Henry, who's gone at 10.5. Trent Boult, who's bowled is 10 for 77, but got 2 wickets in his
Last over.
In his last over.
No, 3 wickets in the last spell.
3 in his last. Lockie Ferguson, who had to go off the field because he's injured, taking no further part in this match. Mitchell Santner was expensive, got 2 wickets. Rachin Ravindra bowled his 8 at 7 and over. James Neesham bowled his first over for 5 runs and his second over for 27. They picked him apart in that second over.
Yeah, that was a dangerous decision because remember, they had Matt Henry left.
Yeah.
They could have gone to Matt Henry, but because he bowled a good first over, they decided to go to him for the second.
Yeah.
And that's where perhaps if Henry's a more experienced bowler, that definitely Neesham, whatever it is, he may have given 5 in the last, but if you have to back which bowler to go with, at that point when they're desperate, perhaps that cost them at least 10-15 runs.
And that's also the problem when you have earmarked certain bowlers. Like Lockie Ferguson was a big miss. Not what he could have done through the middle, but at the end. He's somebody who can pick wickets, at the same time not go for 27. He'll probably go for 12 and 14, and that is still acceptable. But when you're throwing it to a bowler who is probably just bowling a second over and in the back end of the innings, because probably Henry's already bowled 3-4 overs, you want to give him a break for whatever reason you've chosen Neesham, and things like this can easily happen.
See, the other thing about Phillips is, see where Phillips bowled. Phillips comes in because nobody's able to stop them. So he comes in that 12th.
Corner and head, yeah. No.
And then he bowls straight through.
Yep.
So Phillips finishes in the 32nd. He's done.
Yep.
So he bowled at the time. It was both advantages. I mean, he of course did a good job of controlling it, but he also bowled at a time when comparatively the attack had reduced.
Yep.
So that it favored him also. So he didn't bowl at some of the tougher places other people had to bowl. So that was also a factor.
Fair, but the 3 wickets that he's got, geez, you take these 3 wickets as a bowler on any day of the week. 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. You'd get, today you got David Warner, Travis Head and Steve Smith. Before that, against Bangladesh, he got Shanto. When he bowled against England, he got Moeen Ali and Joe Root. But this day will be even more special for him because it's a 388-run score where he's bowled his 10 for 37.
In the context of how important he's been for New Zealand, Boult, who's played 6 games, up until he picked up this 3 in the last spell, had taken 6 wickets.
Yeah.
And he's picked up 6 wickets too. So it tells you what a bowler he has been. And, just the way he was able to stitch together overs. And most importantly, he was the key man at that stage to stop Mitchell Marsh. And he kept bowling dot balls. And what he ended up doing was getting the wicket of Smith. And he put pressure on Labuschagne. And in the end, Mitchell Marsh himself got out. So he bowled very cleverly through that middle phase. Didn't allow them to go downtown, but was clever enough to bowl fast enough to not allow them speed to hit off the back foot. So he bowled very, very cleverly.
Yeah, he of course will have to be even more clever with the bat because he's scoring close to 400. You know that everybody's turn will come, definitely. And when you look down this New Zealand batting attack, they've got the joy, they've got the firepower. They've got Devon Conway, Will Young, Rachin Ravindra, Daryl Mitchell, Tom Latham, Glenn Phillips, Jimmy Neesham, Mitch Santner. They've got 8. Mitchell Santner you can count as a proper batter.
No, proper
in
bona
these
fide. I
conditions.
mean, CSK thought of opening with him. So he's a bona fide bat. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They have the order, but the point is at 388, there's not much. It's good also because it's a mind clearing total.
Okay.
You can't really think. You just say, okay, I'll score 100 in the first 10, then think about it later. So and so in the next. Because
Wow.
thinking of 388 is way too big. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there again, DK, you go out thinking I'm going to get 100 in the first 10. That can sometimes be a psychological recipe for disaster.
Correct. 100 in the last 10 is a lot more probable, but you need wickets in hand.
Yeah.
So if they want to chase this down, they want to be anywhere between 275 to 285 in the 40th over. And you got to work backwards from there to figure out how you get there. But you need to have at least 6 wickets in hand if you want to get 100 runs in the last 10.
From the despondency in your voice, am I gauging a sense of impossibility in this chase for New Zealand?
Quite
from
a bit.
you?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think they're a very good total trying to chase down 300, 320, up to maybe 350 if the wicket is really flat. The wicket is flat, but 390 is too tall an ask. And you got to understand they have the likes of Tom Latham, Devon Conway, very purist players who would get off to good strike rates, but not at 8 runs and over throughout the 50 overs.
Yeah. I mean, they've chased 2 totals before, but nowhere close to this, right?
No.
I mean, Bangladesh and England were both not close. This is...
I mean, 271 was the highest that they
Also
chased.
add to the fact that the pedigree of the Australian attack. I mean, they are if they were 240 all out, we'll be still talking, thinking, do you think Australia still have a chance? And we'll be saying yes because of the quality of the bowlers they have.
I mean, here's the thing. Glenn Maxwell has been their second spinner, but for a lot of time before Zampa checked in the first few games, Maxwell was their first spinner. The way he was bowling, he was containing, he was getting some wickets. And today, with the confidence of doing what he did with the bat, getting a 40 at 170 strike rate, and then looking at Glenn Phillips on the other side, and, Maxwell's a very smart cricketer. He will pick up from all of that and say, well, if you can bowl your 10 for 37, I have bowled 10 for under 4 in this World Cup. I'm going to attempt to do that again today. So you have your so-called 5th or 6th bowler also buoyed with confidence.
Absolutely. And Maxi is exactly that. He's full of confidence right now. He thinks he can do anything at this point in time. He's got 100 in the last match in 40 balls. He's got a 41 of 24 out there. Whenever he's playing well, it comes across to his bowling as well. And remember one more thing. They will be forced to attack the spinners. They will be forced to attack Zampa and Maxwell. And which means the opportunities, look, they might be successful, but therefore they're going to take chances against you. If they take chances against you, the chances are always that you might.
And also, he's a very good defensive bowler.
Yeah.
He's bowled so much of T20s that he's become very good defensively. If suppose they've gotten all out for 120, Maxwell is not the guy. He's not going to pick you wickets. He doesn't have the power to beat you through the bat and through the gate and bowl these kind of classical deliveries. But you tell him don't go for 10, he'll more often than not do the job for you because he thinks very defensively as a bowler, and hence all his wickets are when batters go for big shots.
Yeah.
That's how he gets his wickets. So whereas Zampa will get you wickets the genuine way, nicked off at slip, caught behind, these kind of dismissals. Maxwell a lot more, stepping out, mishitting one, people thinking he'll probably bowl full but bowling short, those kind of dismissals.
Well, I mean, as bowlers, as I said, there's a lot of similarity between Maxwell and Phillips. And of course, the other glaring similarity is that they're both Glenn. Don't you think this? They both got the same name. It's going to happen. There's Mitchells and Glens all over the place today. All right? On all sides. There's one Mitchell who didn't do that well when he was batting, but there's another Mitchell who could do well when he's batting for New Zealand. He's done that so far. They will be relying on him as well. I'm talking about Daryl Mitchell, who has been in brilliant form in the last, 12 to 18 months. Glenn's are done now. Mitchell's. Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah. Batting at a 50 plus average. And remember, if you look at it in his 34 one-day innings, he has the highest average of any New Zealand cricketer ever.
Wow.
Okay. So I think he's at 51.84, which as a career batting average is a serious average. I mean, you have people like Rohit on 49, so you can make out how big that is.
Yeah.
So he's remarkably consistent. He's got runs. He's got a century against India in the last match, got 130. There was a bit of an issue about, which called out whether he was slowed down a bit towards the end and towards when he was reaching his century. And Simon Dole, being a Kiwi himself, called him out saying that, should he have kept the pace up or not? But he is somebody, this is his scoring arc in any case. He's comfortable at that between 95 and 110 strike rate kind of player. He's not a 140, 150 kind of strike rate player. And you'll need those kind of players. So he's an important cog. But if he's doing it at 110, 120, somebody else needs to do it at 160, 70.
Yeah, I mean, he got his century the other day, but it was, it's fair criticism, right? I mean, if you're taking 30 balls to get 23 runs after you reach 92, then it's only fair that people will look and say, all right, you got to 90, you have to accelerate after that point, definitely after you hit 100.
Why 100? You should, anyway.
He should
I'm
ideally
just saying
be
in the
going-
end, at the time that you're playing and you've got yourself in.
should ideally be going through the gears, but I think he got caught in a bit of a tangle. Not to defend him here, I think he personally knows maybe he could have pushed at a different point there. But what happened was he was batting with Rachin Ravindra and he got going and he was brilliant at the start. He was in fact ahead of Rachin Ravindra. Then Rachin Ravindra got going. At that stage, Daryl Mitchell was nearing his 100. And, unluckily for him, Rachin Ravindra got out at that stage.
Yeah.
So then I think he was caught in two minds whether to look for the 100 or not to look to lose another wicket. And he took the other option and it obviously didn't land well for him. But having said all that, even if they had got 15 or 18 runs more, I still think India would have chased it down. Though, in the context of what has happened, I think he will look at it and go, maybe I should have pushed a little bit for sure.
Well, for Australia, we look at their bowlers. Remember, they're playing, what seems like one bowler less today because they chose Manas Labuschagne over Cameron Green or Marcus Stoinis. But they have Travis Head in the team, so Travis Head's been good with the ball as well when he's been playing. But look at their bowlers. So they've got their pace department, the top three, the Tridev, the Trimurti, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, and then Pat Cummins coming in one change. They have Adam Zampa, who's been amongst the wickets in the last few games. Glenn Maxwell, who must be riding high on confidence with bat and with ball. And then, of course, they can get overs out of Mitchell Marsh and or Travis Head. So they've got the options, but of course, it's up to their strike bowlers to. They can very much close this game out in the power play itself because you get 2 New Zealand wickets. Leave them at about 50, 55 in that power play. It's advantage Australia right through.
Yeah, if they get early wickets, then New Zealand are really, look, not to say that this is not a struggle to start with. You're chasing 388. But yeah, if they lose early wicket, it's going to get even tougher. And so the problem with the New Zealand batsmen is that they will have to start scoring. They can't afford to allow the strike rate to go much higher because it's already 7.75 or something.
Yeah.
But they can't afford to lose wickets. So they'll be caught between those two things because losing wickets at this stage is a huge problem given the kind of total you have. And that's why it's such a difficult task to do. I think one or the other is easy to either go and take hit shots or to sort of save your wickets. But to try and do both and to maintain that strike rate of at least 60, 70 in the first 10 will be difficult.
For a bowler like Zampa, he also thrives in a situation where the batters are looking to attack, right? Because we spoke about this yesterday. The good T20 bowlers, the wrist spinners. In T20 games, you have batters trying to attack them, and they manage to get a lot of wickets. In a one day, you can play them out. But here, if you're going to have to attack, which you have to, going 8 and over, that really plays into his wheelhouse, doesn't it?
True. He is one of those who doesn't mind getting hit. He's looking for wickets always bowls aggressive length. Where he struggled a bit at times is when he's gone searching for wickets. But when the batter himself is trying, then he's fine.
Yeah.
And he should be able to easily get a couple of wickets today. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, and on the other side, if you've got Glenn Maxwell doing the chokehold, again, you have to get the good start. As Joy very nonchalantly said, 100 for no loss, and it sounded outlandish. But hey, Australia got 115 for no loss. Yeah. So you've got to keep up with them. 80, 90 is the bare minimum they have to get, and then be careful of that little trough that comes in the middle overs. This is really a Herculean task for New Zealand, isn't it?
It is. There is no doubt. If you want to chase 388 down, you cannot have you literally have no wiggle space. You have to do almost everything on point. Unlike batting first, where even if there's a bit of a dip, you can pick it up because the pressure is lesser. Whereas if you're chasing, the run rate keeps climbing, and that gets to you at a point.
I want to say one more thing. When you're batting first, you've got one guy who scored a century and a lot of 80s. There's an 80 there and there are 50s and all. But if you have to chase 380, one guy's got to get 150, 160, one big daddy 100.
Yeah.
Because the problem is in chasing different people coming in and absorbing pressure, the odds are too low.
Yeah.
So somebody needs to bat for get 150, 160, a big daddy 100. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and which batter is going to be the super glue? On the other side, let's talk about Mitchell Starc. Right? Let's talk about Mitchell Starc. Let's talk about Mitchell Starc. And Mitchell Starc in the power play. Let's talk about Mitchell Starc in the power play.
How good has he been? Really? I mean, let's talk
That's
about
a rhetorical question.
Let's talk about Mitchell Starc in the World Cups.
Okay.
He's been
49 before this one. This one started with 49 wickets for him, right?
correct. There's not a game that he's gone in a World Cup ever where he's not picked up a wicket. His record is just second to Glenn McGrath.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing is that this time he's doing it the other way around. He's not getting wickets up front.
Yeah.
So the problem for them is that really he's not getting them the wickets where he normally gets it for them.
Yeah.
So that's a big, big issue for them because what we were talking about before this is Bolt and Starc have just not got going. I mean, we had thought that this left arm bringing the ball back and, the LB sort of Bolt candidate to right-handers, because of the lack of swing, that has not happened like it happened in 15 and 19. And that's the thing with Starc. He's kept his record going because he's got wickets at the back.
That's right. So when I said let's talk about Starc in the power play, what I meant is that he's not been effective in the power play. But he has been effective in the death over. So he kind of levels it all out. Actually, just before I was coming in, a producer said, just talk about Starc in the power play. So that's why I asked you. I didn't know what he had done. I'm so obedient. I'm like, okay, let's talk about Starc in the power play. That's what we're going to do. All right. So, of course, New Zealand is going to look at that and say Starc's not been that effective. And even if he has been, even if Hazelwood has been more effective, they have to come out. Will Young and Devon Conway have to come out and say reputations don't matter, form doesn't matter. What matters is, that's it, the eye, right? We just got to focus at the fact that we've got to play this out session by session, little 10 over blocks. And what are we doing in the first 10 over block? It's a batting friendly pitch. Ball's coming on just like we like it. We have to be positive and try to get at least 80 or 90 in the power play. And I think they're going to get 83. That's my guess, because we got
it wrong by about 100. I got it wrong by 128 runs.
We should just change it. No? We should just change all the 2s to 3s. You said 260, make it 360. I said 270, 370. You said 280.
Yeah, he was there.
285.
285. So you're the closest.
280.
280. He's the closest. Come on, everybody else. Good guess. Just tweaking the rules a little bit. But here we won't. I'm saying 83. What are you saying?
87.
87. Sir, you please, why come sit on my lap, sir?
I like to be very close to you.
Little difference. They're already very close.
Come on. Look, guys. Okay, this bromance can go upset.
Yeah.
57. Let me break the news.
57?
He's your enemy.
Yeah, you're
Very far away from you.
You're really wanting to finish this game quickly, huh? Because at 57, then this game's done in like 35 overs.
What do you want to happen?
After last night, I've got a little addicted to these like close finishes right in the end. One ball, some runs to get, one wicket. I like that. It's not going to happen today though, right? Target's too much. It's just way too high. But if New Zealand does do it, my lord, this is going to be a sweepstakes kind of match then. But we're going to scoot out of here now. We're going to see you at the end of the 15th over on Cricbuzz Combox. That's a little update of the chase. New Zealand chasing 389 is what they need to get. And they really want to get it if they want to just clear and be part of that top 3, good students, front benchers with South Africa and India. But if Australia wins, then that middle table muddle becomes even more interesting. So it's exciting times. The repercussions of this match going in either direction will be very interesting for the World Cup. Big thank you to Dinesh Karthik and Bhattacharjya. Thank you, gents. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you for watching. I'm Gaurav Kapur. This was and will continue to be, till the end of time, Cricbuzz Live.